welcome to a very early edition of HU Interviews, episode 7. We're going to be joined with the creators of Master Spy Turbo Gun. We've got Kris and we've got John with us. Say hello, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Fantastic. So, for those who don't know what's Master Spy is about, I mean, you can take from the title that it's going to have a bit of sneaking around. But for those who don't know what it's about, could you please kind of sum the game up in like a sentence or two?
it's I kind of been billing it as a cinematic stealth precision platformer. It's kind of a retro style game with a ton, like 30 minutes actually of old school styles cutscenes that John drew, and
Wow. Nice.
it's a precision platformer first with stealth elements, but in a way it's kind of like pure stealth in the way that you play it. But
Mm.
it's
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of influenced Master Spy's design then?
Oh, probably a lot of stuff really. Like John could probably name off a lot of different things. I mean, as
Well,
far
it
as
demands perfection, so I would kind of think of playing like Ninja Gaiden or something like that, like one of those kinds of old NES games. And I don't know. Like Chris and I don't really talk about this, but like I kind of feel like it's that PlayStation 2 game Stuntman 2, where you have to do something perfectly, and that's like part of the game is just trying it again and again to get it perfect. So
yeah, I had like the Oddworld games from the PlayStation 1, which were super tough. And actually, they had a heavy stealth element. They kind of had some adventure element to it as well, but there was a lot of precision in those. It was a different kind of precision, but those games had some influence on how I did a lot of the designs, the level designs, and everything. And then, as far as like the Master Spy character, I think that a lot of older anime, probably especially Golgo 13,
yeah.
were pretty big factors there.
Nice, nice. You could also tell me when we kind of checked it out that you have elements almost like Super Meat Boy difficulty. Did that at all come into play, or did you not play that before going into it?
Yeah, I've not beaten Super Meat Boy, but definitely the precision platformer idea. It did, and like Hotline Miami, which I know
Of
it's
course, yeah.
it's a different orientation, but those games, they're very demanding games, tons of style, and I definitely respect and love that about those games, and definitely
Definitely.
was tried to set out to do something along those lines.
Sweet.
sure.
So I imagine you're both fans of difficult games then, by the sound of it.
Yes. They feel so good when you get it.
They've made a game perfect for you there, Pete, then.
Yeah, exactly. I do like very hard games that kind of I can pull my hair out over.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really and it's not really meant to like just induce rage, because I know there's games that are like that are just really out there to get the player, and in making the game, it does demand a lot of the player, but the hope is that like the more you play, the more skill you gain, the better you feel. Like whenever you beat the level, like we want you to feel accomplished. We want you to feel like you're becoming this character Master Spy and doing these perfect runs and everything. And that's been really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I think the players should feel like they're in the moment too. Like with a lot of games these days, you can just kind of play half awake, but like those kinds of games where it requires your 100% focus is, I don't know, it's a much more refreshing experience than playing other kinds of games sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've been playing it off and on since you launched it back last year, and it's definitely one that it doesn't feel like it's punishing me. It feels like it's just teaching me throughout the game. Because in each like chapter with each mission, something new is being introduced, and then it's you start off easy with it, and then by the end of the mission you're having to master it. Was that something you guys really took to heart when you were creating like the level design for each stage?
For sure. And for the level designs, it kind of would start with, well, we kind of started with the overall, like, what different kind of things did we want in the game, and then we like decided to split it up into the missions, which each mission is 10 levels, and we wanted each mission to feel completely different from the next. And like you go from mission one where you're dealing with like normal guards and um, dogs, normal spy stuff, cameras, things like that, and then to mission three, you've got tigers and assassins that are ninja assassins and trapdoors and all these different kinds of things going on. So trying to differentiate each mission, give each thing a separate feel, while also building on skills that you've learned. And now the controls are simple, but it's all more of a skill set that you gain while playing in that sense.
And like, obviously the game is precision based. How did you go about getting testers for it, or did you test in house? You know, because in those kind of games you need to kind of be bang on, don't you? Like jump by jump. What was the best way you found of testing the game ready for release?
So kind of going back to the level design, like when I come up with an idea for a level, I'd kind of like I'd go, okay, this seems like a good path. This is something. This incorporates a couple of different ideas, and then I'd put it in the game, and I just test it myself and be like, okay, this is impossible to play, and then from there I'd like constantly refine the level until like you basically take, you know, like your granite and you carve out what doesn't work and what does work, and then as soon as I had a level or an idea for something and I kind of liked the way it was going, I would actually just go to I'd go to work the next day and tell my coworkers, hey, load it up, and I just watch them, which I feel like watching people play your game is one of the best ways to learn about it, because you can see like when you make a game, you have tons of assumptions like, oh, this is obvious, and then they go to play it and it's like, wow, like I didn't communicate that to the player at all, and then you need to go back to the drawing board. So just watching several coworkers, like, you know, just play every time I have a new level, just play it and see what works, what didn't, what made sense, what they were able to figure out, what they couldn't figure out, so that I could go back and refine it. And then from there, we did some open beta testing with just having people hit it as hard as they could, and testing machines and different things like that, and that went really well as well. Just having like structured feedback, looking for certain things in that case. So really, we did testing all throughout the development
process,
of the game.
Yeah, I guess you had to kind of refine it down to have the right path that, you know, people want to take, and teaching the player the right mechanics at the right time. So of course you mentioned earlier on that the game has, was it 25 to 30 minutes of in-game, like, kind of painstakingly made 8-bit cutscenes. Did you find there any difficulties in regarding to recreating that sort of retro feel, and of course, you know, that much content?
I think I'll let John answer the bulk of this, but I think just the amount of time and effort that it takes, like John was drawing all that, and to me it's super impressive, because it's a lot of work, and I don't know if people realize that as much. And there's some stuff that's really actually well detailed and animated in there. That,
yeah, it looks really good from what I've checked out.
But,
well, thank you. Well, part of it is kind of accepting the sort of mindset of like 8-bit cutscenes and using really simple tricks, you know, to get things across. Like the original Ninja Gaiden game, I tried to learn as much as I could from that, and I think they were just limited by the cartridge itself. But now we don't really have any limits, but except, you know, our own manpower. So I tried to do as much as I could, but still get it done. And I think a lot of those tricks are actually look better than if you just, you know, fully animated everything. It just, I don't know, it just has a cooler style to it. Like if something is just sliding, or something is just zooming, or, you know, you're using overlays and things like that. And Yeah, and there's some artwork is reused or something, like profiles of Master Spy's head or something like that. But I
Mm.
think we had like a letterbox framing, so that made it more achievable. It's 8-bit, so it's faster to color that way because you
Mm.
can use the fill can without any problems. Uh, and I just made mock-ups of all the animation in Flash. Uh, with movie clips and everything like that. And then I showed that to Kris with the script, and then Kris was able to like code in um, everything, and it was pretty cool that he was able to program this like whole separate cutscene director that worked really well. And they turned out just like the mock-ups did. So
Yeah, for the
Fantastic.
most part, they did. The mock-ups were kind of to like get a basic idea of pacing everything, and then the pacing and those were they're slowed down a little bit, and the mock-ups were really to get an idea of how certain things should move, and then in the game itself, it's all coded in. So like if we need this image and this image, we need this image to pan this way. We need this text to come up. That's all done in code. Um, I'm trying to remember how many lines that all is, but
yeah,
it was
but I learned
a
a
decent
lot
amount of
from.
assets for that too. I want to say there's like 500 or 600 separate assets for for all the cutscenes themselves, and some of those
Yeah, I was about to
assets are
ask
like,
that. Yeah.
or some of those assets are like full on sprite sheet animations. I think what was there was one animation that's like 30 or 40 frames though.
Mm.
Maybe
Which
the
one?
like fist fighting or something like that.
Yeah, there's a couple that are like a crazy amount of frames to it. I think the one where like
Yeah.
Spy does the flip and everything like that. That's quite a few frames, and there's a couple others that are pretty bulky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot
'Cause
of really good competition out there for indie game cutscenes, though. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was, I really tried as hard as I could to make it good. So
Well, no, it looks fantastic, and the amount of cutscenes you've done are actually very, very impressive. Like
Thank you.
30 minutes of retro style cutscenes. That's not easy to do. Because it's frame by frame, isn't it? As you said, for most of it.
yeah, yeah. At certain times, we didn't animate them talking, which I think is helped out a lot too. And
Mm.
yeah, and I think like yeah, if they want to make their own animation, they should like think about like, do we really want to see them talking? Like how important is it really? Because it can really make the project a lot more achievable. You know, we
Mm.
just relied on the text going down, and yeah, when people see it, they just read the text. So we don't have any voice actors or anything, so
Mm.
that helped out a lot.
Definitely. And how long did it take then to create Master Spy from date from the basic idea through to release date?
Was it? Well, we both work full time jobs and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and have a lot of stuff outside. So overall, I think it took us about 2.5 years, 2.5
Yeah.
years maybe, from the very start. From like this is our first game. It's from like we kind of I guess a few years back we were like, hey, we should like make games because John and I have been friends online for forever, and like he always
Mm.
made art, and like I like art. I do some art, but I'm nowhere near his level, and I code full time. And we were like, hey, why aren't we making games? Why don't we make a game? And
Mm-hmm.
I think I had just had my first kid too, so I was like, I'm not sleeping, so I'm not in the right state of mind. So let's make a game. So that's kind of what happened, and
It took us a
and
while to get to pick up some steam because
Mm.
I had never really done game artwork before, so I had no idea what I was doing at first, especially
Mm.
with like making level artwork and like making it easy to see like what you can jump on and what you can't. Uh, and then like as soon as we would get some really good momentum going on, maybe something in life would happen. So it took quite a while to make the game.
Mm. So what was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome then when developing the game?
Hmm. Hmm.
I think just time in general really is it's the toughest. You've gotta prioritize everything, and then especially when you're working full time, 30
Mm.
to 50 hours a week, whatever. Um, and it's just, and we like do it because it's really awesome. Like making a game is it's just a different experience, and it's not
I
an
would say
easy
the
path,
hardest
but
thing for me was like near the end of the game. You know, it's like, oh, how is this game gonna end? And personally, that's kind of what stressed me out, is like how the ending of the game is gonna be.
mm,
And so
Mm.
I was, constantly thinking for like months and months, like how the story should end and like what the last levels should look like. But once I was over that, it was very good. I think that was the hardest part though,
Mm.
yeah,
for
It's
me
kind of
personally.
rounding out the story then by the sound of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, and I think that's really like kind of like the development process. I don't want to say it's like writer's block, but you always have the part where it's like you feel like you get stuck on something. You're like just trying to overcome that, and as soon as you overcome that, like it takes forever, but then when you overcome that, things just go a lot smoother. And that happens just every once in a while. I think it's just kind of a development thing, really. But
Mm.
it was nice like working with John, because like it always seemed like one of us was filling in the gaps for the other person. Like somebody's spending more time on life or things like that, then the other person can. It always seemed like the other person was able to work on things, and then we'd catch back up and get back working together and everything like that. So
Uh,
that's really good.
A nice bit of back and forth then between the two of you.
Yeah.
yes.
Did you ever like meet up? Because of course you live in Japan, you live in America. Did you meet up much during the development process, or was it more like made and developed over Skype and social media?
We met once, I think. But we,
Yeah.
we had
We
met before like a few times because I used to live in Chicago, so
Mm.
that's kind of only 8 hours away, I think, from where Kris lives, and he also lives in Illinois, so it's the same state, but he came to Chicago maybe once or twice, and then I came back. I was actually living in Thailand before here, and I
Yeah.
came back and I saw Chris's house and everything, uh, and where he does all the coding, and it's like really nice and big and quiet and everything. But yeah, only once.
Well, how did you find that experience? Because a lot of developers, of course, they either work in the same sort of environment or they kind of meet up regularly. Did you find that caused any issues, or was it actually more convenient to kind of do it primarily online?
I think if we could actually like work together, I feel like we'd be able to accomplish s- a lot. Like especially like in that one day, the amount that we were able to just go over, and now we overcome a lot by just using chat, trying to set up like a weekly video meeting so that we can just talk about the game, talk about different things, just run ideas across one another, um,
Mm.
Mhm.
and that goes really well. And of course with
Yeah,
the
I
with
would.
the time difference, like
Mhm.
usually what happens is that somebody will be working while the other person's asleep, and when the person wakes up, we can go, hey, check out this, and that's always kind of a cool thing to wake up to.
Yeah,
So
definitely waking up to see progress have been made.
yeah, yeah.
And I presume, of course, funding the game, you guys working full time, so I guess you kind of self-funded it. But did you ever look into any external kinds of funding though at all, like going for a competition or like stuff like Indie Fund or Greenlight?
Well, we did go through Greenlight,
Mm.
just to like, I mean, to get to Steam, and
Mm.
so that's just the process there. But like Kickstarter, we
Yeah.
kind of talked about Kickstarter a little bit, and it didn't make as much sense on this project, and I think that it can be valuable, but it's
Mm.
also like a very time consuming process, to
Yeah.
run crowdfunding and everything like that. And it's definitely something I'm open to doing for future projects when it makes sense.
And for
But
me, I mean, even if we did a Kickstarter, it's not like I can temporarily quit my job and work on the game full time or anything like that. Like if I if I quit, I quit. You know, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
I
it'd
have
have to be a
some
huge
commitments.
Kickstarter for that. So, but yeah, for like
Yeah.
things like making sure we've got like equipment that can actually work, and maybe in the future for like music or promo work or anything like that. I mean, that's always definitely a possibility. Um, there, yeah.
For our
And so,
first game too. I mean, it was our first game, so nobody really knows who we are. You know, how I don't know how you could get a really big Kickstarter unless you make the promo look really great or something like that. And both of us, we're not like veterans of huge game companies that split off and are making our own games now. We're just kind of two regular guys.
yeah, come together to make games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you either of you work on smaller projects like in the past, even if they were solo or part of a bigger team, or was literally this is the first game that you both ever worked on?
First
Yeah,
game.
it's yeah. I
Wow.
mean, I work in IT doing programming and web development, so I'm familiar with working in a team and doing that stuff. But it is a bit different doing a game compared to
Mm.
those. The rewards and challenges are both they're similar, but they're different at the same time.
Mm. More the
For me,
user experience.
mm,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go for
What was that question?
it. Well, I
Anyways.
was going to say, what was kind of next? How did you market the game for Master Spy?
Mostly through gifts. um, I don't know.
That's already
I like
quite.
making gifs of the games. I think like I've got a bunch of gifs of gameplay and cutscenes and things like that, and um, reaching out to as much press as possible and let's players. And it didn't get a huge amount of traction. Early on, I got a couple articles on some decent sized sites, which was like, I mean, when we were early in development, I was just like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. That's cool. Um, but yeah, it was like on release, we got like I'm definitely we didn't get any of the bigger sites. We got a lot of smaller sites and reviews from them, and that was really cool. And we've had a couple of Let's Players. Actually, we had a guy who has been speed running the game and has beaten the game in like 20. I think he's at 20 minutes now. That he's beaten the entire
Wow.
game. Um, so he speed runs it, and it's really cool because I mean I like originally the like when you make a precision platformer, you kind of build in this flow to everything, and that was always like one thing that I was interested in seeing. And it was the game being speed ran, and it's happening on at least to some extent, and like seeing somebody perfect it like at a level that I couldn't even do is just like awe inspiring, really.
Yeah, definitely. 'Cause it's almost a different way of playing, isn't it? When you're speed running, do you find he's kind of finding, like kind of what's the right word, exploiting certain mechanics to get through levels quicker?
Yeah, and there's a couple that were kind of like built in. There's one that
Mm.
it's a glitch that like I didn't actually know that you could do a certain thing like with the flip. There's a flip jump in the game, like that lets
Mm.
you jump a little bit further. But if you time it right, you can actually pass down through the platforms that you could normally jump up through. You have to button mash it just the right way, and you can flip jump down through a platform or kind of across a platform, and that's probably the major exploit for that. So you could do a little bit of sequence breaking with that inside of the levels themselves, which is pretty sweet. And there's a
Yeah,
couple
definitely.
other tricks and everything to it.
So, nice. So you kind of learn all the little kind of pixel perfect moves to speed up the gameplay.
Yes.
What was the average length then of like someone playing the game, like going through? Because of course, pixel perfect, great lines. What was kind of your setting out? How long did you want the your first game to be?
Um, yeah, gameplay. It really. I mean, it depends on um, the the dedication of the player and the determination in some cases, or the skill. But usually, I see around 4 to 6 hours is the time span, which for a platformer is,
It's good. Yeah.
I think, a decent length, and that's just through like the novice mode, and then you can always go back through. There's um, I don't know, like coming from an era of Genesis games and NES games, like we've hit a couple secrets in there, so you can actually, if you find all the secrets, you unlock alternate cutscenes and an alternate ending. There's a couple of things that get switched out that kind of change the story a little bit, and so there's reasons, like if you enjoy playing through it and you want to play through it again, there's definitely reasons to play through it, and then just the like being like for people who are interested in time attack and things like that, there's the mode for time attack, um, to try to better your times and better your run.
That's really cool. I like that. In fact, you've put the extra effort in for those players who have dedicated completionists. They can see something different that the average player wouldn't see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A player working really hard and being disappointed was something I was very afraid of while working on Master Spy. So I hope that everything was rewarding for them, and there's a lot of stuff to explore. So
Awesome. The idea of like alternative cutscenes makes me think of games like Halo when you play it on Legendary mode. Seeing something different at the end. Did the cutscenes change the story in the alternative mode? Without spoiling much, or were they more of a kind of like Halo's, a bit more jokier, kind of like you've done this, see something a little bit funny?
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's the alternative ending is to us actually the canonical ending, even though like I think the normal ending is good, but but we don't like spoon feed all like really throughout the game. Oh, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of going on behind the scenes that you have to infer and read between the lines for the story. And we hint at a lot of stuff in the normal playthrough, and it's still the story arc fulfills itself throughout the normal playthrough, but then the alternate cutscene gives you a lot more of the backstory of some of the characters, and like maybe if certain things don't make as much sense, they make a lot more sense, or they should make sense at least with the alternate cutscenes. But I want to say, well, there's one cutscene that is changed completely. Like I think one 5 minute cutscene that changes. It's completely different about midway through the game,
yeah,
or at least after you unlock the alternate cutscenes. And in the end, what adds about 3 minutes or something like that, and then the credit scene swaps out, and you get a different story there.
it's a lot more dramatic. The unlockable
Yeah.
one is a lot more dramatic, and but whereas the normal one is kind of like from Master Spy's point of view, where he's just like he's doing his job and he knows what he needs to know to just kind of get his job done. So
That's really cool. I love that idea of having like the kind of almost from another angle, or give player more content and I guess filling in the gaps. Would you ever kind of work on Master Spy 2, or what is next for Master Spy really?
I'd like to do another Master Spy. We've got a whole bunch of different ideas that we're like wanting to explore, and we've kind of started prototyping some things that's outside of the Master Spy universe. But I think he's a character we definitely want to revisit, and the thing is, it's like with this game, the game is about Master Spy, but at the same time, it's kind of like in Golgo 13, where it's also about the characters on the job that he's on, and what's going on with them, and Master Spy is more of the, I guess, not really a catalyst, but the he's your viewpoint into this, and I think there's a lot of things you could do with that, because they don't have to be about Master Spy. Like necessarily. They just have to be a master spy in that, like in that job and how he reacts to that job, and the different
Yeah, and a
characters
lot of
that you
secret
can bring
agents are
in.
about that archetype too.
Yeah, yep.
It's
Totally,
kind of like the
totally.
original James Bond movies, were not really about James Bond because he's always the same in every movie, besides the actor. Like, but
Yeah.
I guess lately they've kind of developed him more as a character, which I don't know. But yeah, Master Spy is all about the villains and the other guys, and you are Master Spy, and like once you are as perfect as Master Spy, like you're just, you know, you can do your job perfectly, and like that you see how how all these different weird people in the underworld react to you and everything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Retro kind of James Bond does remind me quite a bit like the old Goldfinger sort of traps.
Yeah.
I can definitely see the influences there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, what's
Yeah, I have a
next
lot
for
of
Turbo Games in
ideas for-
2016? Oops, sorry.
Sorry. There must be a delay or something. Yeah,
Probably like
I mean,
half
we're,
a second
we're,
or something,
we're
isn't it?
prototyping a new game right now, so.
Cool. Wait, can you tell us anything about the new game? Or?
I don't know. What do you want to say, Chris?
I mean, it's really, kind of an early. One thing we're really interested in messing around with is, like pixel art. We love pixel art, but also trying to mess around with more traditional art styles, and see how that goes, and just trying some different weird things, and just seeing what happens. Really, I think.
That's
So
cool.
kind of,
We're definitely trying to make a
keeping it
game a
pretty
little
loose.
faster.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, I think that's one thing that we're wanting to do is try to come up with an idea that's a little bit more distill like Masters by itself. I mean, we kind of tried to distill it to like what we wanted to be, and then so trying to think of something that we could try to get out faster, maybe, without spending 2 years, because we definitely have a ton of ideas, and we're like, man, this is a great idea, but it would take us like 4 or 5 years at least
Yeah.
to release it. And it's like, you think about like, well, like the next game we work on could potentially be could be the only thing we work on for the next like 2 or 3 years of our life. Like, I don't know, it's a big commitment sometimes.
Yes, and while you're making the game, you can make other games. So
Yeah. I'll just do that in my spare time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever spare time you've got left, right? By the sound of it.
Absolutely.
Would you ever take Master Spy to consoles? Because there's not a lot of that hardcore precision platforming games on consoles at the moment. I think Super Meat Boy is one of the only few I can really think of. Would you consider that?
Yeah, I think it would be sweet
awesome.
to see on like handheld games, especially. I know I grew up a ton with the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and I probably played on those. Like that might be a majority of where my playtime came from when I was younger. Yeah, there's some technical hurdles there, and costs and everything. So that makes it a bit more difficult to do, but I'd like to see it eventually in the future, but it's not something we can promise.
I guess, as you mentioned, there's a lot of changes, isn't there, from PC to console on the code side of things.
Yeah. Especially
yeah, it
with
didn't
our engine and
transfer
everything,
right.
it's
And so, what are you most looking forward to about this year, then, for like other games in particular, or any other developers that you think, we totally should be following them?
Yeah, I mean, I follow a lot of other developers on Twitter. Actually, I had a ton of friends who released games last year as well, throughout the year, it's really cool to, be a part of that, to see other friends achieve that as well, and do that. There's a lot of respect, because I don't know, releasing a game, it's not the easiest thing. So a lot of respect to everybody who can do that, and get that. I just kind of like just try to watch for games on Twitter, and I'm trying to think of some that I'm really excited about. But I don't know. Usually I just see it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, that looks cool, and then I'll think about it, like if I want to, like if I'm inspired by it or something. But and then when it starts to get close to the time, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited about it now, sort of thing. So it's really hard to just like
totally
think of a lot of names for things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then bigger games,
Yeah.
I usually just wait a few years for a lot of bigger games, and then that way I can run it on older hardware, and it looks like if I run a game on old hardware, and it looks really good, sort of thing. As long as I wait, you just have to be behind the cycle. So when I play a game from like 2008 on my
Have you
computer
guys
that
ever heard of?
has stuff from like 2012, it looks great. What's that?
Have you ever heard of Skyrogue?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Actually. What's it about?
Oh, okay. Well, it's just that's probably my number one like favorite other indie developer. They're making like a really simply 3D flight sim, but it's got like really cool graphics. It looks like Virtua Fighter but with jets or something like that, and
Wow.
it just feels really good to play. But they've already released it, and they just keep releasing new versions all the time. But yeah, that's probably something I follow really closely. They also made like a game called Drift Stage. I think they're I don't know if it's just that one Twitter guy or their whole.
I think it's the
studio's
artist that
called
does
Elko Duck or
the
something.
artist of Skyrogue did Drift Stage. I think that's it.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember hearing. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that
I'll
game-
have to check them out.
I remember
yeah,
Drift
it's
Stage.
definitely awesome to play, especially with your own favorite music playing in the background. You know, drinking some beers and like just go blow stuff up on an island with like really cool, simplistic. It just feels really good. Like I think just about any game that has a really good feel for the controls will just end up being successful somehow. I hope. But yeah, that's what I follow.
Fantastic. And where can like people find you guys? You know, like on Twitter or Tumblr or everything else really.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a
We've got
website.
the
I
Turbo
have a
Gun
Twitter
account.
and everything, but Kris updates
Yeah,
a lot
and,
more often than I.
Yeah, most of the time it's like whenever John makes something cool.
That's
No, I
that's
don't
where.
know.
Like, is there a particular Twitter handle that you like people to follow you on, or can people find?
Yeah, turbo_gun company, and turbogun.com has links to all that stuff, I think, and should link to Master Spy, and so you can add it to your wish list or buy it or view the trailer, anything like that. Yeah.
Exactly. People can go there, check it out, and hopefully purchase it on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on there and kind of doing this little interview with us. It's been really kind of insightful seeing a group that are actually so far apart, but coming together to make this arena like really cool, intense game over a 2-year period. That's a story we haven't actually had before on Huge Update yet.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank
guys,
you.
for that. Al, do you want any last words at all?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks again for like coming on. This was like really like last notice, like putting together. It's been great. I've been wanting. I saw this game like early last year, and I've been playing it over the Christmas break. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's great to actually have a game that's already out and talking to the guys after launch on this show. So thank you so much for like sharing so much about your game and about your process and everything.
Well, I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
hear you enjoy it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm not very good at it, but I'm getting through it slowly.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, stick with it, you'll get it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough, but I believe in you. I believe in everybody who plays it.
So yeah.
Yeah, maximize
I'll
your
definitely
human
pick it up.
So yeah, we've been Huge Update. You can find us on Twitter at Huge Update. You can find us at our own website, which is hugeupdate at .squarespace.com, and we are currently on iTunes right now. So go there and give us a review. So thank you very much, and thank you again to Turbo Gun for coming along and sharing their story. And we're all gonna awkwardly say goodbye now. So goodbye.
Goodbye.
Later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, damn it.